a little something more. I've got a plan in mind, a special thing in store. The light bulb inside my head says, get out and play, 'cause you never feel this way. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day. It's my lucky day, my lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold, a rabbit's foot or to be told. It's my lucky day, it's my lucky day.
Hello, happy Tuesday, my friend. I am so glad that you're here. I'm so happy we're together again. And I'm so happy to have my special guest tonight, Jess Smith, here with us. So, this is part 3 of a series of cool people doing very cool things. So, I want to share with you a little bit about Jess before we start talking. As a mindset coach and certified EFT tapping practitioner, Jess Smith empowers entrepreneurs to reprogram their minds for extraordinary business success. She uses powerful somatic tools to help clients unearth and dismantle their inner barriers, such as the fear of failure, overthinking, people pleasing, and perfectionism, to name a few. Jess helps clients replace these mindset blocks with radiant self-belief and confidence, enabling them to step into the role of the dynamic leader their business needs to thrive. Her mission is to support entrepreneurs in growing from the inside out, because the truth is that your business can only grow as much as you do. So, Jess, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the invite. It's one of my favorite topics. It's my biggest passion. So thank you so much for having me and the opportunity to share.
You are so welcome. And if you are tuning in with us tonight, we'd love it if you would drop a comment. Let us know you're here. I know there was some buzz on LinkedIn about people who wanted to come. So if you were here, we'd love to know it. Just know that sometimes comments populate and sometimes they don't. So if you are here and I don't see it till after, I'm not ignoring you. So thank you for being here. Really glad you're here. So Jess, let's start with you. Tell us who you are. What do we need to know about you? And then we can move into what you do.
Yeah, so I have been an entrepreneur for a little over 4 years now. Like you said in my bio, I help entrepreneurs reprogram their brains for success. So what that means is I help them overcome common mindset blocks that come up in entrepreneur land, such as procrastination, perfectionism, overthinking and not trusting ourselves, people pleasing, all of that good stuff, so that they can scale their online businesses easier with more confidence, reach higher income levels, all of that fun stuff. And I specifically use the tool EFT Tapping to do that with people. So I'm sure we will get into what all of that is.
Awesome. So how did you find EFT? Like, what was that journey?
Yeah, so I found tapping. And for anyone who doesn't know, the tool that we're talking about, I'll just say super quick, it's called Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's also called EFT. It's also called tapping. So any of those, they're all synonymous today. It's a somatic tool that you can use to reprogram your mind. So I found tapping years ago. I had bought an online course, which at the time was just a series of 14 emails. And that was also my first experience of like, oh my God, you can make money off of sending emails. This is so cool. And so one of the emails had a tapping video in it. And I was really charmed by the tool because it's weird when you first learn about it. So I was like, this is so like weird and mysterious. And you want me to like touch my face and like talk about my problems? Like what? So weird. So I was really enchanted with that. And I started to notice that when I did it, I felt better on the other side. So I was like, this unique thing is helping me feel more calm, more at peace. So that was kind of like phase one. Then I go on to start my first business. I was actually a career coach for 3 years before the work that I'm doing today. So I did a whole corporate career in recruiting, and then I did career coaching. So my first entrepreneurial effort. And like all of us can relate, entrepreneurship is like this. It's up and it's down and it's up and it's down and it's all over the place, right? And that can be hard to manage. And so I was feeling that big time in my first business, whether it was on a low of like, holy shit, is this ever going to work? Or even like a high of like, oh my God, I got a new client. Even a high can be ungrounded, right? High doesn't necessarily mean like you're in the best space to make decisions and all of that. So I turned back to tapping and I started YouTubing, tapping this, tapping that, tapping everything, right? And I was doing all these tap along videos that you can find on YouTube. I have some of my own now, which is really cool. But so this was a couple of years ago. I use that to manage my energy throughout the day. So this is really like the reactive way of using tapping, which we can get into this too, but you're experiencing an emotion and you would like to move through it into something else, typically like calm, peace, surrender, whatever it is. And so I started using it in that capacity, loved it. And then the big experience for me that kind of got me even more hooked on tapping, it was, I think, the second time that I tried tapping on my own. Because again, you can do like follow along videos, you can tap with a practitioner like myself, group tapping, or you can just solo tap. I was tapping by myself and I had racked up $10,000 of credit card debt, which again, entrepreneurs, like this is common for a lot of us, right? And I was so stressed about that because in my financial upbringing, that was not okay. That was not cool. That was not responsible. That was not a good thing to have. And it really freaked me out. And so I remember tapping on this debt and how I felt so much shame about it. I felt so bad about creating this, like I had done something wrong. And I remember tapping and crying and tapping and crying. And then realizing at some point, I'm like, oh my God, I did not create this debt on like buying cool clothes or like buying material items. I was like, wow, this was created as an investment for my future and my business and everything that I'm building. And it was through the tapping and through the shift in perspective, which we'll get into this, but the tapping helps you shift your perspective around things. All of that weight was just released. And it was from that moment going forward that I didn't really have much anxiety about it anymore. I made a plan to tackle the debt and it was gone in 8 months, right? It was no big deal. And so once that happened, I was like, whoa, this tool is doing something to me that I'm not totally aware of, but it's really profound. And I want to know all about that. I want to know what is going on here. So it was at that point that I was like, okay, I'm going to get certified. And I went and did a year-long certification in EFT tapping and how to administer that for other people is how I found it and kind of how my path progressed.
Very, very cool. So let's back way up to the very beginning, because I'm sure there are people listening who this is the first time they've ever really heard of tapping. What is it? Like, what does it look like? What is tapping?
Yes. So it is a mind-body modality. So meaning we're working with your mind and your body at the same time. So what it looks like is you're actually tapping. This is where the nickname tapping comes from. You're tapping on pressure points in your body. A lot of them are in your face. And while you're tapping, we are talking about whatever is distressing you. So for me specifically, I work with entrepreneurs. So this might be, oh my God, can I really charge $5,000 for this program? Like, oh, I don't know if I can charge $5,000 for this program, right? Or it might be like, oh my God, can I actually go live on these platforms? Do I trust myself enough to show up and do this speaking opportunity, speaking from stages, all sorts of good things. So that's the exposure piece. We are exposing your body to what's distressing you. We're bringing up that emotion, whether it's sadness, shame, fear, guilt, right? Whatever it could be. Emotions are a big piece of it. And so we talk about the problems while we're tapping. So the exposure to the problem escalates your system, and the tapping sends an opposite signal to your brain. It actually says, no, there's nothing to be worried about here, right? There's nothing to be that scared of. There's nothing to be that embarrassed of. Like, it's actually okay. And so that's kind of like the high level of how the tool works.
Very cool. Very cool. So I don't know if I ever told you where I first saw tapping.
No, tell me.
I was a children's librarian working part-time at a public library in the children's department, and we had a speaker come in to speak to kids. She had written this book, Someone's Magic Buttons. I don't remember the name
Okay.
of the kid, but The Magic Buttons. And she read this book and she taught the kids about tapping. And I remember thinking, oh, this is kind of weird, but like weird in a good way. Like I remember feeling really good when I was done. And then it was a couple years later. Was it during the pandemic? It might have been during the pandemic. I attended a library program from a library that's not my own. And it was a virtual program where they went over tapping and we tapped together. And I was like, oh, I like that. So it's something that like kept coming up for me in small doses. And I don't remember at what point I like found it seriously and wanted to make it a part of what I do. So I do some tapping every morning as part of my morning routine. And I find it pairs super well with some visualization and meditation, pairs super well with journaling. So I've got this whole routine that I do, and tapping is now part of that.
That is so beautiful. And like you said, tapping does pair well with journaling because it is an inner exploration journey. It is a healing journey, essentially, that we're going on. So I could talk a little bit about that as well if we want to go in that
Yeah,
direction. Or
let's go there.
yeah. So I kind of mentioned that. So you can use tapping in two different ways. One is reactively. So this is, like I said, you're having a good example would be if you're about to get on stage to give a presentation and you're like, oh, nervous, right? You're experiencing the emotion and you're like, okay, I would like to calm down. I would like to move through this emotion. Super helpful and great for that. So I find that as I talk to more and more entrepreneurs, a lot of entrepreneurs are familiar with tapping. And that's the capacity that they know it in, is in the reactive way, which is awesome. But what I find that a lot of people don't know is that we can also use it proactively. So this is more of the brain reprogramming that I do with my clients. This is the part that when I got my certification, I was like, holy wow, this is amazing. Like we're doing really cool stuff here. And so when we do proactive tapping, this is identifying beliefs or resistances that we have and proactively breaking them down so that we can rebuild them. So what that looks like is seeing what's coming up for you as it relates to your business, or for me, business, life, whoever's listening, life, relationships, whatever it is. And then saying, when did I first feel this way? Like coming back to the past, when did I first feel this way? And it's really amazing as I'm in sessions with clients is like random things will pop up, right? That they're like, oh my God, we're tapping and I'm having this visual of like 5th grade camp. And it's like, okay, let's go with that, right? Like, what about 5th grade camp? What happened? And it's amazing. It's my favorite when something's a mystery and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I remember I was trying to roll up my sleeping bag and I couldn't do it. And everyone laughed at me. And I started crying and I felt embarrassed. I felt shame. And it's amazing how those memories that we have from the past are affecting our present. They are affecting our ability to run our business in our best capacity. And so what's happening here is that our amygdala is the threat response center in our brain. And so when we were kids, or even just earlier in life, previous life experiences, that part of our brain has determined like, ooh, this is not safe. So from visibility, we'll use that as an example, right? My client with the sleeping bag situation, it's like, oh my gosh, it's not okay to be seen, right? That could be embarrassing. And for her, it was a big one about crying in front of other people. It was really embarrassing. And so when we can reprogram that experience, it's almost like taking the tag off in your brain. It's like taking the tag off that says it's a threat. Oh, it's a threat to step out on that stage. It's a threat to be seen. You might get attacked. You might get laughed at. You might get whatever. And it's refiling it as actually it's safe to do this. Actually, it's totally okay if you go out there and speak on the stage or do the live stream. So it's actually a little more scientific than people sometimes realize, which is cool.
Yeah, no, that is a great explanation. So, can you um, go back to how you decided to work with entrepreneurs, and how was it you were in this program doing very cool things? When did you know entrepreneurs were your people?
Yeah, that's a cool question. So I was a career coach for 3 years, and I got certified while I was doing career coaching. So the first half of my certification, because it was a whole 12 months, I thought I was going to apply that to job seekers. And halfway through, I had kind of been feeling in my heart that I'm never going back to the corporate world, right? For me personally, I'm not hating on corporate, but for me personally, I'm not going back to the corporate world. And I started to feel more and more of a gap between me and the people that I was working with. I was good at it. I was good at helping them, but there was just this part of my heart that really wanted to work with people who were building their own things, building really cool stuff. And so I want to say it was about 6 months in that I was like, you know what? This is my opportunity to work with entrepreneurs, to just say like, hey, this is my thing and I'm going to do it. And I had always wanted to do mindset work. Like I remember at the beginning of my career coaching business, I had a total breakdown, sobbing on my bathroom floor, asking my sister, should I be a mindset coach instead? But I just didn't know at the time how or what that would look like. So it was amazing how, life advanced me into the entrepreneurial world. I find tapping and I'm like, oh my God, this is my opportunity to switch. And even making the switch was an interesting experience for me because everyone assumed that I would do it with job seekers. And I remember this was even like a moment of growth for me, as someone who has been a people pleaser, wants to make other people feel comfortable. I was on a networking call with this woman I had never met before. It was like our first coffee chat or whatever. And I'm telling her I'm getting certified. I'm going to start working with entrepreneurs. And she was like, well, why wouldn't you work with job seekers? And I told her, well, because I want to work with entrepreneurs. And again, she's like, but you could do this thing with job seeker, blah, blah. And I was like, but I want to work with entrepreneurs. Like, but you could, da, da, da. I said it 3 times, just that. But I want to work with entrepreneurs. But I want to work with entrepreneurs. But I want to work with entrepreneurs. And in the past, I never would have done that because I would have been like, oh my God, she's going to feel stupid if I just repeat myself 3 times. But it was a cool moment of growth because I was like, wow, I've grown so much in my boundaries that I'm like, I don't owe you an explanation. I don't need you to like enroll me in your idea. Like I have my idea. I'm solid on my idea. So that was just an interesting moment in the transition that came up. But tapping supports with that too. Like making that transition into having boundaries, loving ourselves deeply, letting go of caring what people think of us. That's like been so much of my work with my entrepreneurs too.
No, and that is powerful stuff. And I see so many parallels, again, pulling journaling back into it. I have found that journaling has touched every part of my life. And if there's a part it touches, it's only because I've not thought to journal about it, journal near it, journal around it. Um, have you found the same with EFT?
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to ask that question, but yes, I think that it touches all sorts of different parts of our lives. And I often will have my clients do journaling in between sessions on, if we need more information on something, right? Like, why are you afraid of this? I might have them journal on that. What thoughts come up for you when you think about making $10,000 a month, right? Or whatever the topic is. And so once we have that journaling, that's a great thing to tap on. Or I have one client who loves to bring her journal to our sessions and she'll read it and we'll tap on it. And then that will be the jumping point to, okay, now where are we going with this? So yeah, it touches all elements of life. And I think, I focus on business in particular, but if you are learning to care less about what people think of you, that's not solely in your business. Like that is in the rest of your life too. And so it's amazing how I'm thinking about one of my clients in particular, conflict with her mom was kind of something that came up. We did a lot of tapping on past experiences with her mom. And she months later was like, Jess, my mom's just not an issue anymore. Like I have boundaries with her. I'm not willing to put up with her little games. I don't play anymore and it's not a big deal. And I have so much more peace than I used to have, which is cool. So I think, yeah, just like journaling, it can touch all aspects of our lives.
That is very cool. So let's go, if we can, to the nuts and bolts of EFT. So you said tapping, you tap in different places. Can you walk through what the tapping points are?
Yeah, yeah, I can. And we are going to be doing a little tapping later, so that'll be perfect. So the main ones are the side of the hand. So these are all pressure points that are actually derived from acupuncture, which is cool. The crown of your head, the eyebrow point. So this is where your eyebrow meets your nose. And for the face points, you can do one, you can do the other, you can do both, whatever feels good. You can do the side of your eye, under your eye, under your nose. This one's a little funny. Dip of your chin, your collarbone. So this is 1 inch below your collarbone in the dip right there. And then the last one is under your arm. So not in your armpit, but on your rib cage. And so how the nuts and bolts of how a session would go, we would pick a topic. I've been working with people recently on raising prices. That's a really fun one. And bringing that up, right? Okay, when you think about getting on the phone with a client and telling them, my program costs $5,000, what do you feel in your body? And they're like, ugh, like stomach is like contracting, right? So it's a lot of body sensations as well. If my client can identify it, not everyone is awesome, but they always grow in their ability to be present with their body, which is cool. And so we will use that to guide us as well. So we're looking for emotions. I feel embarrassed, right? Or maybe shameful for asking for so much money, whatever their story is. And it's a clenching in my stomach. And these are the thoughts that I have around it. So then we would go through a round of tapping on that. And what happens when you're tapping, that you'll probably get to experience, is we all have this voice in our head, right? We're talking to ourselves all the time. So as we're tapping, I just have my clients tune into that voice and notice what's happening. What is it saying? And sometimes it will agree with the tapping. Sometimes it will disagree. Sometimes it will pull up a memory from the past. That's where we're like, holy wow, what is that about? Let's explore that, right? And then we check in and go from there. So it's a very repetitive process that's kind of like, okay, let's see. I never know where a tapping session is going to go. So there's not a lot of prep work that I do for it necessarily. It's really just facilitating people on their own healing journey. And I think that's really cool and special too, is that my clients are healing themselves. I'm here to facilitate. I'm here to ask smart questions and say, hey, have you looked at this or that? But really, it's up to them to feel that experience, because what's happening is when we bring up that stomach clenching fear about saying the number, that's where the tapping is saying, actually, it's okay. Actually, it's okay. Like physiologically, it's telling your brain that. And that's where they start gaining comfort. And then after, they come back and they're like, I said it, it's no big deal. Okay, maybe I should raise my prices again, right? Because the fear is gone.
So I think EFT is such an interesting modality for so many reasons, but I love how it involves our brain and our bodies together and our words. So it's not like just one thing, it's a whole body experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that my clients that get the best results are the ones who are willing to feel the deepest. Because it's a healing process. So some people might have heard like feel it to heal it, right? And this is really cool because we're adding this body component that is actually telling your brain it is okay, right? Which is a cool addition. But my clients who are willing to go so deep and feel so much shame or sadness or guilt or whatever it is, fear, those emotions can only go so far. So once you feel it, it kind of just drops out at some point. And so that's really the key here in finding emotional freedom, as the name is, right? Is those who are willing to feel the deepest have the biggest transformations.
So let's talk about that a little bit more if we can, because I'm sure you've worked with people from all across the spectrum of comfort with feelings. So not everybody is in a place where they can feel their feelings. Will EFT still work for them?
Yes, it will. Because whether you believe it's working or not, like it's working because it's a pressure point in your body. It just is. It is sending a signal to your brain. So whether you think it's doing something or not, it is. There's no way to do it like wrong. So even just, I'm thinking of a client I had in the past who's like, Jess, I've spent my whole life not feeling, right? Even just tapping on that, like, I don't feel anything, can open the gates to feeling, which is really, really cool. So the other thing I love about tapping is there's no rushing. I don't take people places that they don't want to go, right? There is no like, you must feel this. It's like, okay, what are you open to today? Let's see what your body's willing to release and what capacity you have to grow today. And there's no right or wrong about that. So if that is just simply getting in touch with your feelings, that's okay too. And that's major progress for some people.
Yeah, no, that is amazing. And I'm sure you've seen so much growth in some of your clients from I can feel this much to I can feel this much.
Mhm. Yeah, totally. And I would say once I tend to attract people who are pretty good at feeling their feelings, is like probably just my own energy. So most of my client journeys are like willing to feel, and now like let's expand that. But what's really beautiful is when clients come to me and they start, and I test different statements with them. I accept myself. Does that feel true? Not true, somewhat true. And one of my favorite transformations is when clients come and I say, I love myself. And at first they say not true. And 12 weeks later, they're like, wow, that feels true. Like, I'm going to cry. And it's talking about it. It's so powerful and it's so special because when we can love ourselves through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, that makes the ups and downs less up and down, right? When you can love yourself through a low in your business, or when something has gone wrong, or you said the wrong thing on the live stream today, right? It's like, okay, I love you, Jess. It's okay. It's okay. We can keep going. There's nothing wrong with us, right? Oh, one of my clients, my favorite breakthrough, she's like, oh my God, I just realized there's nothing wrong with me. And it's like, wow, how special is that? So not only feeling, and I think sometimes people can shy away from that. I say, like, let's feel your shame, and people are like, oh, what? Like, no, I don't want to go there. Like, I have had people physically recoil as I say the word shame, right? That they like lean back. But what's so powerful is that on the other side is freedom.
Yeah.
On the other side of being able to feel all of that, there's so much space, there's so much love and compassion for yourself. And so I really see that growth in my clients a lot, is like the level of compassion, patience, love that they have for themselves. And as they step deeper and deeper into that space, they can do more and more in their business. They're braver, right? They're more resilient. They take risks because now they're like, well, I'll be okay. I can figure it out. They believe in themselves. So that's the radiant self-belief piece, because it comes from within. I picked the word radiant because it's not like a big, boastful, showy confidence. It's really like an inner glowing that's like, wow, I love myself so much that like, I got this. I can handle this. I deserve this.
Yeah, and that is amazing because there are too many people walking around feeling like something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
I see this in my clients all the time. People who are successful by all the markers, people that we look at and we think, oh, well, they've got it all together. I remember one client that I worked with, I was from the moment I got on a call with her, I was like, oh, you're very talented and you're very smart. And I had, total imposter syndrome talking to her.
Yeah.
And then as we started working together, I was like, oh, you struggle with exactly the same things I do. We are exactly the same and we're going to grow together. And I think that was a really cool experience, is watching her embrace her magic. I learned to embrace my magic a little bit more, and it just makes the world so much better a place.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And I think what you said that I want to point out too is like, it sounds like she was a high achiever already. And so it's sometimes interesting that we think like, okay, when I hit this next level, then I'll be good, right? And it's like, oh, no, like it really does require us to do the inner work. Even if we're already successful, I would say like most of my clients are getting clients, right? They are doing the things, they are making the posts. They just don't feel awesome about it. And so that's a beautiful way that you and I get to support people, is in that space of like the inner work that means so much. So that's beautiful. And like you said, you got to grow too. I'm always learning stuff from my clients. That's the best.
So, are there prerequisites to EFT? Like, are there things you need to do first? If somebody is listening and they're like, ooh, I think that might be for me, but am I ready for it? Like, is there a pre-process at all? Or can you just jump into EFT at any time for any reason?
I would say it depends on the context. If you just want to tap for yourself on your own, yes, absolutely. Like you could just tap on the points and that will do you good. That will do you good to just like be tapping. I actually lived in LA for a year and was really nervous about driving. And LA is like super crazy driving and people like cutting across 6 lanes of traffic and doing all this stuff. And I would drive and tap and drive and tap and drive and tap. And I got so comfortable with it, which was really cool. So in that sense, it's really simple and you can't do it wrong. So in that capacity, I would say yes, anyone, anytime, anywhere, yes, go for it. For myself, for like people coming into my program, that I have my own prerequisites, if that makes sense, but anyone can tap.
Awesome.
Anyone is good to tap, and you're not going to like mess it up. But I would say the benefit of working with a practitioner like myself is that you're co-creating the experience. And so something that's cool about working with a practitioner is that if you and I were working together, Amanda, as the practitioner, I'm kind of leading the statements, right? So you're repeating after me, essentially. I might say something that's not in your head. I might say something that you're like, oh my God, never thought about it that way. Oh my God, had never like thought this, that, or whatever, which is so cool. That's why there's benefit in doing it in all sorts of different ways. Like it's beneficial to do on our own and it's beneficial to do with other people because they might say something that you didn't expect. And I have my own tapping practitioner and she knows me. We've worked together for 2 years. She knows all my little mind tricks. She knows where I like to go. So when something comes up for me, she will throw in statements about this, that, and whatever. And then I'm like, oh my God, yes. Okay, this is the thing, right? And so, I think it just depends on what context you want to do it in. But if you're just simply tapping by yourself, like just tapping on the points is going to help calm your body.
Awesome. So you have agreed to do some tapping with me and with all of us watching at home. So can you kind of prepare us for that? What do we need to know about tapping?
Yes. So we're going to do a short mini tapping just so people can see what it's like and kind of experience the process. So I picked out anxiety because I think it's something that most people can relate to. So we're going to keep it kind of simple here. Are you ready for me to dive in? I'll kind of explain as we go. Yeah?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So everyone who's listening, I would love for you to just close your eyes for a second and take a deep breath. And I want you to see where you can identify anxiety in your body. Maybe there's something with work, maybe something with your personal life. It's causing you a little bit of anxiety. And if you can, I want you to identify where you feel that in your body. So we talked about body sensations earlier. It might be like a flipping in your stomach. It might be pressure in your chest, tension in your head. Just do a little body scan and notice what's there for you. And then I'm going to have you open your eyes. And tapping is very simple. So all you're going to do, we went over the points already. You're going to tap on the points that I tap on. So you're going to copy me. And all you have to do is repeat after me. That's it. And then just notice what comes up for you. Notice what body sensations are there. So super simple. Ready? Okay. Even though. I'm feeling kind of anxious
I'm feeling kind of anxious
about this thing in my life.
about this thing in my life.
It is okay that I feel this way.
It is okay that I feel this way.
It makes sense that I would feel this way.
It makes sense that I would feel this way.
And I love myself anyway.
And I love myself anyway.
Even though part of me is a little anxious.
Part of me is a little anxious.
I can feel it in my body.
I can feel it in my body.
It's totally okay that I'm feeling this.
It's totally okay that I'm feeling this.
It makes sense that I might feel this way.
It makes sense that I might feel this way.
And I forgive myself.
And I forgive myself.
Even though I'm feeling a little anxious.
I'm feeling a little anxious.
This thing in my life.
This thing in my life.
It's okay that it's happening to me.
It's okay that it's happening to me.
I honor how I feel.
I honor how I feel.
And I love myself anyway.
And I love myself anyway.
Okay, we're going to take a deep breath through your nose and go to the top of your head. And you're just going to follow me and repeat after me. Feeling anxious.
Feeling anxious.
This anxious feeling in my body.
This anxious feeling in my body.
Letting myself feel it.
Letting myself feel it.
It's okay for me to feel this.
It's okay for me to feel this.
Feeling anxious.
Feeling anxious.
This little bit of anxiety.
This little bit of anxiety.
Just noticing what it feels like.
Just noticing what it feels like.
Feeling this anxiety.
Feeling this anxiety.
It's okay that it's here.
It's okay that it's here.
Noticing what it feels like.
Noticing what it feels like.
Feeling anxious.
Feeling anxious.
Anxious about this thing in my life.
Anxious about this thing in my life.
It's okay that I'm anxious.
It's okay that I'm anxious.
It's safe for me to feel it.
It's safe for me to feel it.
And I'm open to calming down.
And I'm open to calming down.
This anxious feeling.
This anxious feeling.
I am breathing into it.
I'm breathing into it.
Breathing into this anxiety.
Breathing into this anxiety.
I'm willing to let go of it.
I'm willing to let go of it.
It would be safe for me to let go of it.
It would be safe for me to let go of it.
Breathing into this anxiety.
Breathing into this anxiety.
Breathing clean energy into my body.
Breathing clean energy into my body.
It's okay for me to calm down now.
It's okay for me to calm down now.
Imagining myself calming down now.
Imagining myself calming down now.
I'm inviting in clean energy.
I'm inviting in clean energy.
Breathing into any anxiety.
Breathing into any anxiety.
I forgive myself for feeling this way.
I forgive myself for feeling this way.
And I'm willing to calm down now.
And I'm willing to calm down now.
Letting go of all my anxiety.
Letting go of all my anxiety.
I trust that I am okay.
I trust that I'm okay.
I can handle whatever's going to happen.
I can handle whatever's going to happen.
And I choose to love myself through it.
And I choose to love myself through it.
Okay, pause here and take a breath. And let it go. It's just a quick example, very, very mini of what's possible with tapping. But anxiety in particular, I have been we do lots of measurements in tapping, like how intense is this for you? Oh, I'm 8 out of 10 anxious. I'm really anxious. I've been 8 out of 10 anxious down to 0 in 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
Which is really cool. And that can be a barrier to getting your day started at times. So it's a really special tool that can shift us quickly.
Oh, that's awesome. So I want to ask you a few nuts and bolts questions.
Mm-hmm.
How fast do you tap?
Like the taps?
Yeah. Is like
whatever works.
Okay. So there's no right way, wrong way.
No, I've seen some people really fast. You can go slow. So whatever feels good for you. And then soft, like if you were tapping someone's shoulder. I had someone in a live presentation be like, how hard are we supposed to tap? And she's like, tapping. It's like, no, gentle is okay. Gentle works.
That was going to be my next question
Yeah.
because I remember early on doing a tapping video, and afterwards I was like, "Oh, my face kind of hurts." I was like,
Too
"Maybe I
hard.
don't need to tap too hard."
Yeah, too hard. There should not be pain or discomfort after.
Okay. Oh, I know I'm going to have 15 more questions when we get off this call about nuts and bolts. What if you're tapping on your own and you forget the order of the tapping and you leave a tapping point out or you mix them up? Does it matter? Will it still work?
Totally okay. Totally still works.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tap anywhere on anything?
Like on any part of your body?
Well, no, like on any topic, anything that comes up.
Oh, on any topic. Yes. Yes, you can tap on anything. So I specifically use it to help people advance their businesses, but I was trained on doing like smoking cravings or like food cravings or like weight loss. People use it for literally all sorts of stuff. People use it for physical ailments as well. So my mentor had crazy nerve pain in his leg. He was going to get his leg amputated, and then he found tapping. And so for me, I don't do physical symptoms, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do with tapping that's actually the emotional component that is being expressed by your body.
Very cool. Very cool. So if somebody wants to work with you, what do you offer? What does that look like? How can people find you?
Yeah, so right now I have a one-on-one program. It's 12 weeks long. It's called Radiant Self-Belief. So we kind of touched on that earlier. And it's totally customized to the individual. So whatever it is that you want to work on to advance your business, we focus in on that, whether it's raising prices, speaking on stages. I had a client who was like, I'm making money, but I can't spend it, right? That's a barrier. So anything that's kind of getting in the way of you feeling confident and taking your business to the next level from a mindset standpoint, it's a very specific, customized one-on-one deep dive to move you through those pieces. So that's my main program right now is Radiant Self-Belief for entrepreneurs.
Amazing. And where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, so my website is jesssmithcoaching.com. My YouTube channel, which I am planning on expanding this year, is EFT for entrepreneurs. So I've got some tap along videos on there, which is really cool. And then my other main platform is LinkedIn with you, Amanda.
Very cool. So what have we not covered? What have I not asked you? What is super important for us to know about EFT tapping and you while we're still on this call tonight?
I think self-healing is the key to everything in life. Like I really, really think that for us to reach higher and higher levels in our business, in our life, in our relationships, whatever that looks like, we get to love ourselves through that. And in order to love ourselves deeper, it's like getting familiar with our feelings, getting familiar with where we're at, cultivating that self-awareness. One other thing that I wanted to share that I totally forgot about as I was talking about my website is my mindset quiz. So I have a mindset evaluation quiz that everyone can take. This is perfect. It's at jesssmithcoaching.com/mindset quiz. And it helps people discover which of 7 mindset categories they should focus on to maximize their business results. So I really think that self-awareness component is crucial. So if you think about things like procrastination, that's usually a top level block, right? It's like, actually, I'm afraid of people seeing me. Actually, I'm afraid I'll be exhausted if my business gets too big, right? And so kind of bringing it down and identifying, okay, what's really going on here is important. And then we can work on bringing love and compassion to that part of our lives and making it feel safe for us to move forward is really what it comes down to and why it's so special.
Awesome. I love that so much because it sounds like your clients get to go on the same journey my clients do, to go from self-discovery, self-awareness, self-compassion, self-love. And the world just needs so many more of us to love ourselves fully and completely.
Yeah. That's why we're such a good match to be friends and talk about this stuff, right? We're on the same page.
I absolutely love it. Well, Jess, thank you so much for being here with me today. Really, really appreciate you. And again, people can find you where?
JessSmithCoaching.com and Jess
Perfect.
Smith on LinkedIn.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you,
joining.
Amanda.
We appreciate you, and we will see you next time.